Hey there, Bobby Klink from Your Online Genius here, again with the daily Facebook Live episode to talk about issues related to intellectual property. For those of you who are new, I'm an intellectual property lawyer. Your Online Genius, the point of this business is to provide a do-it-yourself or do-it-yourself resources for online entrepreneurs like podcasters, coaches, course creators, social media folks, bloggers, everybody who's making a living building their platforms and then leveraging those platforms to make money. The point of Your Online Genius is to provide you all with the information and resources you need to protect your platform, protect your business legally, and make sure you're not stepping on landmines or making mistakes today that could really destroy your business tomorrow. Today, we're going to be talking about my favorite type of intellectual property, which is kind of weird that I have one, but it's trade secrets, which I refer to it as the Rodney Dangerfield of intellectual property. For those of you who are too young to remember Rodney Dangerfield, his catch line was that he don't get no respect. And it's the same thing with trade secrets. They don't get the attention they deserve, and they really should. Before we get into the details, though, I did want to apologize in advance in case we have a bit of an interruption. My wife had something else she had to do today, so I have my dogs here in my office. I've closed my actual office door, so they're not going to be in here, but they may hear something, and if so, you may hear a bark. You may hear them go crazy for one reason or another. I apologize in advance, but, hey, that's life. It is what it is, and so wanted to just give you a heads up in case it happens. But now let's get down to today's lesson and let's talk about trade secrets and why you really need to be thinking about trade secrets as an online entrepreneur. A trade secret is basically, it's an area of law that protects your confidential information that has value in your business. So the basic requirements for it are that it's information that's not generally known. So again, it's kind of secret or confidential. It has commercial value, so it can't be, for example, that my favorite color is blue. That can't be it. It's got to be something that has value in your business. And then here's the last step, and this really is the most important part. You have to take reasonable steps to keep it confidential. So you have to be trying to protect it. Let me go back and give you some idea of what are the typical kinds of or examples of trade secrets. So some of the most common examples that you hear about in everyday discussions among intellectual property lawyers are recipes. So the Coca-Cola formula, the Kentucky Fried Chicken spice recipe, those are trade secrets, and they are held with utmost secrecy. So Coca-Cola, as I understand it, the only written down copy of the recipe is in a bank vault in Atlanta, Georgia, and fewer than 5 people actually know the entire recipe. But the importance of trade secrets is if you have information that you have taken the steps to protect as a trade secret, you then can prevent other people from using it. And this can be people who come across it legally, or if someone were to find it some other way. You can then sue them. It's also a crime for them to use a trade secret without you. There's some a big case going on right now outside online entrepreneurship, but in the startup world between Waymo and Uber. Basically, it's kind of the Google group and Uber about self-driving cars. What happened was a high-up executive in one left and then went to the other company, and the allegation is he took, I don't know if it's 20,000 or 2,000, but a bunch of documents with him to help advance one. You can't do that. I mean, we don't know if he did. Obviously, it's allegations, but you can't do that if the information is protected as a trade secret. So at the beginning, I said that I love trade secrets, and I think they really need to get more respect than they do. And here's why. They are absolutely cost-free for you once you get basic policies in place, because you don't have to file anything. You don't have to get approval from the government. You don't have to hire a lawyer to do anything on an ongoing basis. You don't have to talk to me, pay anyone like me a dime. You just have these protections. All you have to do is make sure you've taken the basic steps at the outset to protect them. So let's talk for a second before we get into details about how you would go about protecting it. I want to talk to you about how examples of trade secrets that you have in your business as an online entrepreneur, because you're probably saying, hey, I don't have a Coca-Cola recipe, so this doesn't apply to me. Trust me, it does. You have all kinds of information that are trade secrets. Your email list, which again, as an online entrepreneur, we all know that is one of your most important assets. It is a trade secret if you take steps to protect it, but broader than your email list. How about your sales leads? So your CRM database, all of that information is protected as a trade secret if you have it. Let's go a step further. Let's say you are a service provider who works with clients and then service providers on the other end. Your list of service providers that you are going to connect your clients with and your connection information, all of that could be a trade secret if you protect it. So that's just some of the examples. But again, it could also be anything that you have a secret sauce in your business. So if you have a special way of creating SEO benefits for someone, if you have a special way, a special recipe for, not recipe, I'm talking about a method of doing something and no one else knows it and it's behind the scenes, you can protect it. So that's why it's valuable here. Now, if you were here on Monday when I talked about patents, or if you've taken a look at that video, you know that I said that trade secrets and patents, there's some interplay here. A trade secret versus a patent, there's pros and cons. Trade secret, one of the pro, you don't have to spend a dime on it, like I said, so it's free. You don't have to go through a filing requirement. You get protection immediately. You don't have to wait, for the government to decide. So those are some of the benefits. Another one of the benefit is there's no limit on the time period for a trade secret. A trade secret is protected as long as you keep taking steps to protect. So again, let's go back to the Coca-Cola recipe. I don't know when Coca-Cola was developed. I wasn't around at that point, but it's been over a century now, and they have had protection forever. Now, if they'd filed a patent on that recipe and gotten a patent, well, it would have long expired and everybody could be selling knockoffs of Coca-Cola. So that's some of the advantages. The disadvantage of a trade secret is you can't really keep something that's out in the public a trade secret. So if someone can reverse engineer your process or your patent or your product and figure out what you did, you're not going to be able to keep it protected because it won't meet that first standard that it's not generally known. So that's the trade-off here. If it's something that's behind the scenes that people don't know, don't need to know, generally trade secrets are the best way to go. Again, you have to make that determination on an ongoing basis. So I said the key to getting trade secret or keeping trade secret protection is that you have to take reasonable steps to keep the information confidential. This is really where the rubber meets the road here. And this is things, it stuns me when I see this. So there's a couple areas I want to talk about. One is physical protection. The next is electronic protection. And then the final area is agreements. So let's talk about the physical protection first. Well, basically what that means is if you have confidential information, it needs to be behind locked doors or a locked drawer at some point, depending on who has access. So I can't just leave confidential information sitting out wide open in a shared office space where people outside of my business are and then expect to keep it confidential. It's not, because anyone can see it. So lock it up. Again, if you have a locked office on your own and no one goes in there, that's probably good enough. Again, if it's truly valuable, forget the legal perspective. If I have anyone coming into my office, landlord, cleaning ladies, any service provider of any kind, I am going to lock it up in a filing cabinet inside my office, not just in my office. And it's really valuable. Again, that's just good business sense, forget legal sense. Now, let's talk then about there's one more thing I want to talk about on physical protection. So obviously you might be using it during the day and you have it out. Well, if you have visitors coming into your office, you can't have it out for people to see. I like to use an example from a movie. If anyone here has seen the Robert Redford movie, Spy Game, Robert Redford is in this meeting with a bunch of people at the CIA, and he goes into an office and he can see basically the name of an operation reflected off something. Again, that's a kind of extreme example of it, obviously, but I can't leave confidential information sitting face up on my desk, have a guest come in, and then be upset if they take it. Another classic example of this is in the movie, it was a Michael Keaton movie about newspapers with Marissa Tomei. He goes in, is interviewing for a job at a different, more prestigious newspaper. He sees a piece of information on the publisher's desk, takes it and uses it. Again, if you have it there open for people to see, you can't really claim that it's a trade secret. You have to keep it hidden from people. Now, let's talk about electronic protection. This is an area, again, it's common sense, and I'm stunned that I see this still. But our smartphones, I mean, I've got an iPhone, and that thing has my entire life on it. I mean, it's got my Dropbox, it's got my emails. If I have any information electronically, just about anywhere, someone can find it on my iPhone. So you've got to have that locked up. I'm stunned that people still don't have their phones protected by a password. You need to do that as a basic level. Beyond that, what you need to be doing is limiting access. I mean, you don't need to give everyone in your business access to every part of your electronic systems. Use kind of you're on a need to know basis. Give people access to the information they need to know, but not anything else. So those are basic protections you need there. The real issue in most cases for trade secrets comes down to having the proper confidentiality and non-disclosure agreements in place. And the reason why this is most important is because, look, you could have trade secrets stolen by espionage or competitor, or, whatever. But really, for you as an online entrepreneur, and for most people, what trade secret protection is all about is preventing your partners, people who work with you in some form or another, from taking your confidential information and going and starting a competing business with that. You can't stop them from starting a competing business, but you can have agreements with them that they can't use any confidential information they learn while working with you in that business. And so that's the key, to have those kinds of agreements in place, because that will prevent them from doing it. And it's funny, I had an experience recently where I was the customer, and it drove home the value of these agreements. I work with a service called Interview Connections. They help me get podcast guest appearances, so I'm able to get some messages out to you folks. And when I first started working with them, they were using outside independent contractors to do their booking. So I was working with one primary person. But soon after I started working with them, they actually brought it all in-house and started hiring employees. So they had some changeover because their independent contractors were obviously all over the country. As you can imagine, some of those independent contractors then went out and started their own business doing this same process. But luckily, the business had the right agreements in place. So the woman that I had been working with as my booker, who was the person I was in contact with, was doing a great job on my behalf, couldn't come then and solicit me. She couldn't try to get me to go with her instead of the company I was with. You can imagine if they didn't have those agreements in place, when they made that change, if you think about it, sure, I knew the company, but I'd been dealing with this one person, this outside independent contractor, and she would have known what they charged, what the deal was, who I'd been placed with, what I was looking for, all of that information about me as a customer. And she could have come and solicited me and then taken me away from the company that I was dealing with. So that's what you want to avoid. And that's why you need these types of agreements in place. So I'm going to try to wrap up now. Key takeaway from this is that trade secrets, you need to be thinking about them. They're hugely valuable. They're free, no cost. All you got to do is have the right procedures in place, have the right agreements in place. And once you do that, you will have trade secret protection forever, basically, as long as you keep these steps up. So that's why they're valuable. So like I said, it's, key takeaways on what you need to do is get the policies for physical protection, for electronic protection, take those steps, and then get these confidentiality agreements in place. And if you do that, you'll have protection. Now, if you found this useful, if you've enjoyed this lesson, you can take a deeper dive. I've got a course where I discuss and teach you the 5 biggest mistakes I see online entrepreneurs making that can really be disastrous. One of them is related to this, and I go a little bit more in depth on these issues. So you can go to that course. You can get it for free at mistakes.youronlinegenius.com. You go there, you'll get, it's an email course. You get emails over 5 days. You also get access if you want to just go take it all at the beginning. That's kind of how I would do it, because when I do stuff, I like to batch and just get it over with. But so that's where you can do it. Again, mistakes.youronlinegenius.com. Do that, and you'll get access to the course. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about copyrights and the issues that come up with copyrights. Again, hugely important area for online entrepreneurs, because quite honestly, the majority of your business and your platform is built on copyright. So we'll be talking about that and issues you need to be thinking about in that area. That's all for today. Enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow.